Vayehili Lishua Ozi Vezimrat Yah 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 Vayehili Lishua. Page 128. Dodi liba ani lor haroem. My beloved is mine and I am my beloved's. The words of Shir HaShirim, page 128. Dodi liba ani lor haroem vashoshanim. Dodi li vani lo aroe vashoshanim. Dodi li mizodola mina midbar mizodola mina midbar. Dodi li vanilo aroe vashoshanim. Dodi evavteni achoti kala libavtini achoti kala. Vanilo aroe vashoshanim. Dodi. Page 134. Hariul Adonai kol haaretz v'tzchu v'ranenu v'zameru. Raise a shout to God, all the earth. Break into joyous songs of praise. 134. Ladonai kol haaretz, Ladonai kol haaretz, Ladonai kol haaretz. V'yitzchu, ranenu v'zameru, ranenu v'zameru, ranenu v'zameru. Samru l'Adonai bechinot, bechinot v'chol zimra. Samru l'Adonai bechinot v'chol zimra. Ladonai kol haaretz. לאדוני כל הארץ, לאדוני כל הארץ.
יצחו,
רננו וזמרו, רננו וזמרו, רננו וזמרו.
זמרו לאדוני בכינור,
בכינור וכל זמרה. זמרו לאדוני בכינור וכל זמרה. Page 137 at the bottom of the page. Adonai oz la'amo yiten, Adonai yevarech et amo b'shalom. May God grant our people the most important gift of all, the gift of peace.
Adonai oz le'amo yiten, Adonai yevarech et amo. Adonai oz le'amo yiten, Adonai yevarech et amo. Vashalom, 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 Vashalom. We welcome the Sabbath bride with Lecha Dodi, page 138. 138. דודי
לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה וזכור בדיבור אחד השמיענו אל המיוחד אדוני אחד ושמו אחד לשם ודברת ולתהילה אחד תודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה
בשבת לכו ונלכה היא מקור המלאכה מראש מקרב נסוכה סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה וחתוני לקראת כלה בליל שבת וקבלה וחתוני לקראת כלה בליל שבת וקבלה
Verse 5.
התעוררי התעוררי Ore, come ori, 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 Shidameri, Gevoremnai, Alaich Nigla, Lechatoni, Likerat Kala, Vela, Vene Shabbat, Nekavela. Shalom, Ateret Malach, Gam besimcha uvetzola, Toch emuneh, Am segula, Boi chala, Boi chala.
Jump in before Rebecca lights the candles, and I'm going to get you to move around. Go introduce yourself to someone you don't know. It is Shabbat. It is the beginning of a new year. Introduce yourself. Share a good New Year's wish with each other, too.
Yeah.
I'm reading.
And this is for you. And so we're doing...
As these candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us, as their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light. So may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
And so I'm going to invite everyone to come together as we're about to light Shabbat candles. So too I'd like to light this memorial candle in recognition of all those who were not able to celebrate Rosh Hashanah and Shabbat, and especially those families in mourning in the period of Shuvah and Shloshim who have lost loved ones in recent days in Israel.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu v'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik shel Shabbat.
Amen. Please be seated. You will find us on page 140. Thank you, Rebecca. Page 140. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר ולזמר לשמך עליון. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. להגיד בבוקר חסדך ואמונתך בלילות, עלי עשור ועלי נבל, עלי היגיון בחינות. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. כי שמחתני אדוני בפועלך, במעשה ידיך רנן. מה גדלו מעשיך אדוני, מאוד עמקו מחשבותיך. איש באר לא ידע, וכסיל לא יבין את זאת. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. צדיק אתה עמד יפרח, כארז בלבנון, בלבנון יזכה. שתו לי בבית אדוני, בחצרות אלוהים יפריחו עוד ינובו בשבח, דשנים ורעננים יהיו כי ישר אדוני צורי ולא עוולה תבוא. Page 142. If there's ever a time to find us accompanied by the angels, this would be it, where we would want that the week should be as blessed as the week that we have had, filled with blessing. Rosh Hashanah, Erev Rosh Hashanah, morning of Rosh Hashanah, the beauty of the table that is set. May this week be filled with blessing.
And peace.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Asharet, Malachi Elyon, Bimelech, Malachi Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem leShalom, Malachi Ashalom, Malachi Elyon, Bimelech, Malachi Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni leShalom, Malachi Ashalom, Malachi Elyon, Bimelech, Malachi Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem leShalom, Malachi Ashalom, Malachi Elyon, Bimelech, Malachi Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We rise on page 144 for the Chatzi Kaddish and the call to prayer, and you'll notice that there are the melodies of the high holidays throughout this evening's service, as it is Shabbat Shuvah. יתגדל ויתגדש שמי רבה.
Amen.
Got to sound convincing there. בעלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי בחיי חון וביום מחון ובחיי לכל בית ישראל בגלה ובזמן קריב ויאמרו אמן. רבה מבורך, לעולם ולעולמי עלמיה, יתברך, יתברך וישתבח, ויתפר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי קודשה בריחו, לילה ולילה, מכל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, תמירן מעלמה ואמרו אמן.
ברכו את אדוני המבורך,
ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד.
Please be seated. There was a mixture from the family service and the main service. My voice is going as we speak. There we go. On page 148, we read together. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, פותח שערים ובתבונה משנה עתים ומחליף את הזמנים ומסדך כוכבים. I'm going slower than you are. במשמרותיהם ברקיע כרצונו. בורא יום ולילה, גולל אור מפני חושך וחושך מפני אור.
ומעבירו יום ומביא לילה ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו, אל חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני המריב ערבים.
אהבת עולם,
אהבת עולם,
ישראל,
עמך אהבת, עמך אהבת.
תורה ומצוות,
תורה ומצוות,
משפטים,
אותנו לימדת, אותנו לימדת.
על כן אדוני אלוהינו בשוכבנו ובקומנו נשיח בחוקיך ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו,
הם חיינו,
לאורך ימינו,
ובהם נגי יומם בלילה, נגי יומם בלילה.
ואהבתך אל תסיר
אהבתך
ממנו לעולמים.
ברוך אתה
אדוני
אוהב עמו ישראל, אוהב עמו ישראל.
שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני
אדוני אחד.
שם כבוד, שם כבוד,
מלכותו
לעולם,
לעולם
לעולם.
ועד.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווה היום על לבביך. ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בעם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשלוחך ובקומך. וקשרתם לאות על דיעתך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור דבר אל בני ישראל ואמרת אליהם ועשו להם ציצית על כנפי בגדיהם לדורתם ונתנו על ציצית הכנף פתיל תכלת. והיה להם לציצית וראיתם אותו וזרתם את כל מצוות אדוני ועשיתם אותם ולא תטורו אחרי לבבכם ואחרי עיניהם אשר אתם לונים אחריהם למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיהם. אני אדוני אלוהיהם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות להם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Adonai Elohechem Emet, at the top of page 157.
Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together.
And singing this song, well done, Will. And your bar mitzvah is on the 19th, is that right?
26.
26th. 1 week out. What can I tell you? מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, לא רק תהילות עושה פלא, מלכותך ראו בנדיך, בוקע ים לבני משה ומרים, זה לי ענו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר כבד אדוני את יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, קהל ישראל.
Amen. So I was thinking earlier this week, how many of you guys have seen Star Wars? Raise your hand. How many of you have seen Star Trek? Raise your hand. How many of you have watched Harry Potter, the last one? All of them, okay. So I was thinking about those, all three of those this week. I'm thinking about it before we sing the Hashkivenu on page 160. Because one of the things in the two space movies and in the last episode, not just the book, the episode visualized what the book talked about. You see the lights, whether it's from rockets or ships or wands, breaking through this barrier, right? This barrier. And it goes until the barrier cracks. And as I heard the news about the ballistic missiles coming in from Iran, I couldn't help but visualize that. And I think, okay, we can't see Iron Dome. So in my head, it's like one of those force fields, right? I don't know if you guys also visualize Iron Dome like a force field, but that's what I see it as. And I just wonder how many more of the wands or the rockets or the missiles are going to go through before it cracks. And how many more people are going to need to get involved in that? And what is the devastation going to be when it cracks? And then I got myself out of my anxiety panic about that and decided, okay, wait a second. It's an opportunity to feel grateful for the fact that it is indeed still there, right? The Iron Dome is there, and it is protecting Israel. And Israel, even with all its sores and all of its strife, is there protecting us. And so when people say never again is now, my son came in second place, winning this international competition for disagreeing with that statement. And he said, and it's funny because he and I argued about it, and he convinced me. I moved over to his side on this one. He says, this is not 1930s Germany. This is not the beginning of it's all starting all over again. It's not. Because Israel's here, because we do have people in government, both Jews and non-Jews, that are fighting for us. We are strong and we have a voice and we're using it and we're not cowering away. And, you know, when I listened to the Prime Minister of England speak and I listened to the President of the United States speak, one day maybe here, but when we, when we listen to what's happening, it's like, no, it's not the same. But we have to be vocal. And this prayer right here on page 160, the Hashkivenu, is our prayer that we say, thank you for our force field. Thank you for the Iron Dome. Thank you for Israel. Thank you for our spirits and our hearts. And thank you to God for creating that wherever we are, whenever we are in history.
השקיפנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום ועמידנו מלכנו לחיים ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך ותקננו בעצה טובה מלפניך והושיענו למען שמך והושיענו למען שמך והגן בעדינו והסר מעלינו ושמור צאתנו ובואנו לחיים ולשלום מעתה ועד עולם ועד עולם.
ברוך אתה אדוני, הפורץ סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל ירושלים. Blessed are you, Eternal One, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and most importantly over Jerusalem. On page 162, V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et Shabbat. This is our covenant for all time.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדודה ברית עולם ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ וביום השביעי שבת וינפש וביום השביעי שבת וינפש
We rise for the Amidah, which will begin together and then continue silently. On page 165, in an envelope marked personal, God addressed me a letter. In an envelope marked personal, I have given my answer.
Note the high holiday insertions throughout. Adonai Sefatai tiftach uvi agid teilatecha Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avoteinu ve'imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak ואלוהי יעקב, אלוהי שרה, אלוהי רבקה, אלוהי רחל ואלוהי לאה, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם למען שמו, באהבה זוכרנו לחיים
בחיים וכותבנו בספר החיים למענך אלוהים חיים
מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה
אמן
אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני מחיי מתים אתה רב להושיע משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם מזריח השמש ומוריד הטל מכלכל חיים בחסד מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים סומך נופלים ורוב חולים ומתיר אסורים ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומי מלך מלך ממית ומחיה מחיה ומצמיח ישוע מי כמוך ברחמים זוכר יצוריו לחיים ברחמים ונאמנת להחיות מתים ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי המתים.
אמן.
אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש וקדושים בכל יום יעללו חסלה ברוך אתה אדוני המלך הקדוש.
אמן.
שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם.
כי אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום.
השלום
כי אתה הוא מלך
אדון
לכל השלום.
שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם.
וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך.
שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. In the book of life, blessing, peace and prosperity, may we be remembered and inscribed by you, we and all your people Israel, for a good life and for peace. Baruch atah Adonai oseh ha-shalom ha-shalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim le'olam. Tasim
So, it gives me great pleasure this evening not to give the sermon. It gives me great pleasure to invite up Rabbi Mickey Boyden, who is here visiting from a veteran, has been living in Israel for the past 40 years, originally from England. Rabbi Boyden is helping Kedem with their services, which is incredible, and Roger helped make the shidduch, so it's very exciting for that. And Rabbi Boyden was a founder of Rabbis for Israel in England, talking about We Are Israel, put his money and his family and his feet where his heart is and where his mouth is, and went over and started a life and formed and developed 2 different progressive communities in Israel. And it is just an absolute joy to be able to have you here and to listen to you. So Rabbi Boyden, please come and share with us. Thank you. That's you. To come up. You're going to come up and share some beautiful words with us. Did you hear anything I just said about you? I said nice things.
What do you want me to do?
I thought you were giving a drash.
A drash?
That's what I was told you were
Tell me.
doing. Tell us what's going on in Israel. That'd be great.
Speak if you want me to speak.
Yeah, go. Do you want to? Do you not want it? You want to just...
I can speak a drash. I can do a drash.
There you go.
Yeah,
40 years veteran. Sure you can. Here you
do I
go.
need to do with
You
one
can
of these
just use this.
That's much
Share with us. Share with us. I mean, we didn't hear what was going on in your sermons at Kedem, so you can give us a brief update.
Shabbat shalom to all of you. It's a pleasure to be with you here in Melbourne, Australia, so far away from the world in which I live and what we are currently experiencing. So I think it might be right for me actually to say a few words about what we're experiencing. Not the things that you read in the newspapers and hear on the news, because I know you are very well informed about what's happening in Israel, but a little bit about what it feels on the ground. I spoke to a member of my congregation in Israel a couple of days ago, or actually we didn't speak, we communicated by WhatsApp, because the town, a small town in which I live called Hodeshon, which is near Ra'anana, Kfar Saba, in the heart of Israel, about 10 miles north of Tel Aviv, had actually suffered a rocket attack that caused 100 homes in our small town to be damaged by the blast of that rocket. And a member of my congregation, who actually is treasurer of the community, sent me several photos of his home, showing me all of the glass on the floor as a result of the windows that had been shattered in his home as a result of that blast. And there is a sense of immediacy on the one hand, and on another level, a sense of how far that is from where we actually are here. And as someone who is an Israeli who lives my life over there, you can't actually run away, but maybe you can't run away wherever you are. On my cell phone, I have an app from the Home Guard in Israel. And the way it works is that when a siren, an air raid siren, goes off in a particular area, if that's your area, then your telephone sounds as well. It happened to me some months ago when I was actually walking into Marks and Spencer's in London, and then suddenly my app went off, and it sort of made me realize that on the one level how far I was from my home, but on the other hand, my home followed me wherever I was. In my home, like in many homes in Israel, we have what we call a safe room. A safe room, and I know what it's about because I actually built my own home, not physically, but I was responsible for the building of the home, is a home where you have one room where there is 30 centimeter thick reinforced concrete on the walls and obviously also on the ceiling. And it has a special window, which is a window, but on the outside of the window there is a shutter that comes across so that if there were to be a blast, it wouldn't actually affect the room in which you are because you have this thick shelter to cover it. And then a special door. It's a special door because, once again, it's a reinforced door to stop any blasts or shrapnel getting into that room. And it has a handle on it, both on the outside and on the inside. When I was planning to leave for Australia, I said to my daughter and her partner, listen, if it gets difficult in Tel Aviv, where you live, you can come out to where I am and you're welcome into the home. And they said, well, there's a problem with the handle on the door. What's the problem with the handle on the door? That when the Hamas terrorists came into the kibbutzim in the south of Israel, and families went into their shelters, they from the outside tried to open those doors. And there was at least one case of somebody on the inside who all the time was holding onto that handle to stop them being able to open it. And what we've done now is to take a piece of wood, to make it the right length, so you could have it on the floor, come up to the handle, so that somebody from the outside would not be able to open it. That is the reality in which we live, and certain things have taken on an additional meaning in our prayers at the High Holidays that they didn't quite have for me before. The word Shuvah, which is in the Avinu Malkeinu, being taken captive, has taken on an additional meaning. In the Unatani Tokef prayer that we recited on Rosh Hashanah, where it talks about who will live and who will die, it also includes the words Mi va'esh umi b'mayim, who by fire and who by water. And when you see, as I'm sure some of you have seen, the remains of the houses in some of those kibbutzim in the south of Israel, like for instance in Be'eri, and you see those houses that have been burnt, then you understand what it actually means, who by fire and who by water. I don't know how we're going to celebrate Simchat Torah in Israel this year, because we were planning for Simchat Torah last year, and in fact, a whole load of people in Hod HaSharon, where I live, who aren't connected to our congregation, said, let's organize Hakafot, the dancing. We'll have an egalitarian Hakafot with men and women being together, and we'll all dance. And I said, yeah, but you know, there'll be a lot of people that will turn up. We'll need an amplification system and, you know, and klezmerim and all the rest of it. They said, don't worry, we'll pay for all of that. And they had the whole thing set up. And then, of course, Hamas came in and did what they did, and the event was cancelled. And I feel sure that Simchat Torah is going to be a very difficult day for us in Israel. The government has planned to have a special event for Simchat Torah, or not for Simchat Torah, for the day on which that attack took place. And they had to pre-record it. They had to pre-record it because they knew very well that if it was live, there would be huge protests of people against the government and the way that they are dealing with the hostage issue. I don't want to go into too much politics here on El Shabbat, but there is a tremendous division, as I'm sure you know, in Israel between different parts of our society. It's a divided country, and that is one of the tragedies with which we are having to contend. I could go on, but it's Erev Shabbat and you've got other things that you want to do. I personally have a special relationship with what is happening right now because I had a son called Yonatan who was serving in the Israel Defense Forces in Lebanon and was killed by Hezbollah. It's 30 years ago. And his immediate officer who chose him for the unit is a man called Herzi Halevi, and Herzi Halevi today is the commander-in-chief of the Israeli Defense Forces. And I want to tell you from personal experience that this is a very special human being. Every year at the annual memorial service at the grave of my son, Herzi Halevi would appear every year. And as I say, it's 30 years since he was killed in Lebanon. He's a man of integrity, a decent human being. Wars are horrible. People get killed, people get maimed, homes get destroyed. And I know we're doing the best we can, and I know how much our enemies are doing everything to say how awful it is what Israel is doing. And this is not the time to develop that conversation. But I know what the Allies did in Europe in World War II, without the kind of consideration for civilians that our armed forces show. We tried to tell them to move out of areas that are going to be attacked. And when you're faced with an enemy that is using civilians to shelter themselves and who are firing out of hospitals and schools and UNRWA centers and mosques, then you do what you have to do. My only prayer is that this will not go on for too long and that we arrive at, I won't use the word peace because unfortunately there will not be peace, but arrive at a situation where our enemies who want to destroy us understand that we're not going anywhere. Some of you may know that the Houthis slogan, you know, the people down in the Yemen, their slogan is very simple, and it's not just theirs. Allahu Akbar, Allah is great. Death to America, death to Israel, a curse upon the Jews. Islam will be victorious. What's happening in the Middle East is not just about territory, but it's in fact primarily a medieval religious war. And we in Israel say, would that Israel were in Switzerland, because life would be so much easier. But it isn't. We live with what we live, and we do the best that we can. And my daughter was going along in her car when the siren went off in Tel Aviv and jumped out of the car and went away from the car and lay on the ground. And just the other night, she took her 11 and 8-year-old children out of their beds in the middle of the night and went down 2 flights of stairs to go into the bomb shelter in the home in which she lives. How hard that is for children to go through that experience. And I know that Palestinian children are suffering too. But this did not have to be, and we can only hope and pray for better times. And as we say in Israel, at the same time as we say L'Shana Tova, may this year be a good year, we say, and may it be a better one than the one that has come to its end.
Amen to that. Thank you. Thank you so much. Whoops. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I have to say 2 things. One is that always my biggest nightmare is that I was going to be called on to give a sermon and I didn't realize it. So thank you for sharing your words. I was told you were going to speak tonight. The other thing I just want to share with you is when I was in Israel last May, I stayed with a very good friend of mine who lives in Chodesh, and she does qigong and like all this stuff. And I was with her and this group of women that were doing this thing. And after October 7th and periods of time, she had said to me that one of the women that was in the circle went to go visit her sister who was in Kibbutz Be'eri and was there on October 7th, and she didn't make it back. And, it just reminds me of how close we are, even if we're not living there in different ways and shapes. And, as this Shabbat Shuvah, we read Hazinu in the Torah, it's, give ear. It's literally give ear. Pay attention. Listen to what's going on. We, those of us that aren't in Israel, are the mouthpieces. So when we hear the stories, it's not just the Shoah. When we hear what people live with, what we hear, it's not just the Iron Dome as this magic force field. 100 homes, were attacked. These are our stories. No one's going to hear them unless we do and then share them. So thank you for giving that to us, and now hopefully we can pass that on this Shabbat. We rise for the Aleinu on page 186, 186. That's what I meant, 586.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שהוא עשנו כגויי הארצות ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
At this time in the service, we remember those who have died this past week. We remember Anne Bartak. We remember in Shloshim, Susan Beberfeld, Pauline Louis, Alexander Dobanov, Leah McCleary, Daniel Pohl, Blanche Radlow, Shoshana Rose, David Rosendorn, Robert Samuels, Almug Sarusi, Joy Shaw, Raphael Solomon, and Eden Yerushalmi. The 6 hostages mixed in with our own. The yard sites of those in our community this week, we remember Ron Ahrens, Albert Bentata, Arthur Best, Marie Cashmore, Erna Curtis, Les Davidovich, Michael Eager, Edna Flack, Ruth Godard, Paula Goldberg, Sylvia Green, Bert Hand, Francis Hoffman, Esther Kaufman, Richard Melzak, Rolly Minsky, Erica Newman, Stella Opes, Yafa Penasova, Sarah Rabinov, Susie Rockman, Leila Saunders, Sarah Siegel, Harvey Shaw, David Simon, Gary Sostheim, Dolphy Spitz, Genevieve Spivakovsky, Leon Splitter, Evelyn Taft, Greta Tobias, Joy Tree Goning, Richard Alexander Valentine, Rosette Whitner, Hugo Wolf.
I have the names of 5 of the 7 victims of the Jaffa attack. 42-year-old Ilya Nozadz, 24-year-old Revital Bronstein, who was an only child, 33-year-old Inbar Segev Vigdor, 40-year-old Nadia Sokolenko, and 30-year-old Shachar Goldman, one of whom was the mother of a 9-month-old baby who is now orphaned.
We also recall the Palestinians who were killed by a Hezbollah attack, and we also remember all of those in Israel, in Gaza, in Lebanon, in Ukraine, and all around the world who have died innocently because they happen to live there, and all of those who have no one left to say Kaddish for them. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be for a blessing. On page 598, the Kaddish Tome, the Morris Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabba, be'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabba mevorach leolam olmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal shemei d'kudusha b'richu le'ela u'le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shamaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. Amen. Please be seated for a moment longer. Do we want to make an announcement? I want to make an announcement. Just so you know, this Monday, we are going to, for those of you that have registered for Illuminate, our October 7th memorial, the official location will be disclosed, I think, on Sunday, I was told. But we are going to be meeting in advance, which we shouldn't have publicized, I was told. But anyway, that being said, we're going to be meeting ahead of time at 6:15 if you want to go there. It starts from 5:30. The official presentation is going to go from 7 to 8:30. Apparently there are tickets and it's sold out, so I don't know what happens if you come standing room only. I don't know if they're going to turn people away. I know that there are counter-protests going on, but again, we need to put ourselves out there. We can't let them scare us. Celebrating, smiling, singing, and being present and not avoiding the spaces that we want to be in is our own way of fighting terror. So I hope that we'll join in. Yom Kippur, as we know, the family service, again to remind you, is going to be at King David School at 9 o'clock, and our main services are starting at 10:30. Pay attention to your tickets for other times.
We're going to do Kiddush at the back of the hall where we have Kiddush and Motzi set up. We do note the round chalot because the cycle of life, and so it is traditional to have round chalot with sugar for the sweetness and, much to my children's disgust, raisins inside the challah. They're not fans, what can I tell you? So please join us here at the back. If you are online, you will not be able to see us, but you will be able to hear us as we go to the back hall. The red is wine, the white is grape juice. Please join me. Yes, thank you. All of them, just turn all of them on. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu ושבת קודשו באהבה וברצון הנחילנו זיכרון למעשה בראשית, כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. לחיים. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, המוציא לחם מן הארץ. אמן. Go te. Shabbat shalom, shana tova u'metuka. May you have a sweet new year, a year of health and peace and happiness.